Hey everyone, it's Cindy. I told you that I was going to do a tutorial on making the bird books. So for anybody new that doesn't know what I'm talking about, I was commissioned to do some artworks, I guess, if you will, for an upcoming installation. And so as I was doing them, I thought this is really fun, and I thought you guys might really appreciate and enjoy them as well. And what I did was I took some books and I turned them into sculptures. And these sculptures can hang, so you can view them from below, and that's what they look like from below. So I had that one, and this was my proof of concept one that I did. So I didn't like the overall shape, so I added stuff to the top. So, I mean, there's all kinds of things that you can do with them. What you're going to need in order to do this project is you're going to need some hardcover books. And these are books that I picked up at the Dollar Tree for $1.25. Now, my Dollar Tree was significantly low on hardcover books. So hopefully you'll have a better time at yours. But so I picked these up for $1.25. I picked up 10 of them, different sizes. It will mean different templates, but so I have some smaller ones as well, just to give some variety there. I'm going to take you along. This is going to be more of a process video probably than an actual step-by-step tutorial, but I'll try to give you the heads up as I go along so you can see what it is that I am doing. The first thing that you're going to need is a template for your bird pattern. Now, I went online and I searched Google for flying bird images or birds in flight images, and I landed on this one here. And actually this was a solid black, and I cut out the black parts on my computer just to save myself toner on my printer, and I cut this out. And what I did was I took the dust jacket off of the first book that I did, and I turned it inside out so that I had just the white part. And you have to adjust this a little bit as you go, so that you can put it back on your book or lay it flat or whatever it is I'm trying to tell you. So I flattened it out like that. And then what I did was I took the pattern on it and I laid the body of the bird over the spine of the book, and then I traced it out. So then you have it on here. And then what you can do is you cut it out of your jacket, and you're left with this, a pattern. Okay, now mine, this was the original one that I did from this pattern, and I did not like, you couldn't see the head, and it looked more to me like a dragonfly, which is why I altered it a bit after I did it. So I have since adjusted this pattern. I've made the tail a little bit shorter, and I have made it have a larger head on it, moved the wings down more towards the center of the book. But what you'll do then is you will take it, and actually, so you see that this was from another book. This wasn't from this book, but it still fits this one. So on my original book, the book was black, so I used a white paint marker to trace it. But on this one, I could use my Sharpie, and I trace it on to the book, and then I start cutting. So you're going to also need for this project, you're going to need a utility knife. I say a utility knife and not a Sharpie because this is a bit more durable, and it's easier to change the blades out when they get dull, and they will get dull. You need that. In the end, I needed cup hooks or eye hooks. I was going to look for the actual ones, but I can show you here. So you'll see that there. So I needed those. I had different sizes for both of them and for different ways. So when we get to that point, I can explain to you what you can do with whatever size you have on hand. So you might even have these supplies on hand, so you might not have to purchase anything. So that's kind of a fun thing. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'll turn you guys around so you can see the process, and I'll interject here and there as needed, I think, so that you can understand what it is that I'm doing. Doing this one actually let me see that there's an ability to show pattern on the inside cover. The first one that I did, that was not the case. My pages went all the way to the edges, but this one showed me that I could do that. This is actually was part of the book. So I'm going to do this on purpose to this book. So I have and I have lots and lots and lots of scrapbook paper in my basement. So, but I'm going to use this instead. So I'm going to look for things that might have big patterns or big colors. This would be cool because you would be able to see this as a big pattern. If it's hanging up, you know, it would look different underneath. So I might use this. I'll take this out. I'm not going to use book pages because we already have a lot of book pages. I mean, that's what the book is made of. This might be something that I could add on there. Definitely this dotted paper. You like that? This would be good. This is some paper I just made marks on. What else? This has color on it, but I don't think it's going to be that noticeable from below, so I'm not going to use that. Maybe that. Put that over there. I have some scrapbook paper that I picked up from Temu, the only purchase I ever made from Temu. This is all black and white. We'll leave that alone. This one, it might add some color. The only thing about these is that since it's not a large piece of scrapbook paper, it'll be a little different to do. This one's kind of cool with the big dots on it, as is this one. I've got the butterflies here. Well, I've been liking to just cut them out and use them in projects. I'm probably going to skip that. I've got that, maybe. Ooh, this is nice and bright. Look at that. Again, with the text, I think that that's a little bit of overkill. I don't want any images on there. They're going to be hard to see from below, and I don't want to use them that way. Same with that. Okay, I think that's about it as far as stuff that I have on hand to use. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started and try to see what we can do with this. And I'm not sure I mentioned before, you're going to want to have some sort of adhesive. I like glue stick. And then I also have a heavy gel matte medium, or matte heavy gel medium, however you want to say it, as well, that I can use for the pages. And that's what I did here. I actually just put that on the edges, and it just kind of holds it together in the end. So let me go ahead and get started. Oh, and I'm only putting it on the outside page because that's the only page that you're going to see. I'm trying not to take it all the way to the edge because I'm going to stick things in underneath the edge. I'm pausing here because I'm thinking, you know, I'm doing this wrong. I'm not gluing. I thought, you know, I needed to do it ahead of time, but actually I don't. And look at how much I'm going to be cutting off of there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this off actually now while I still can, while the glue is still wet. We'll let that dry. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to go ahead and cut it out first. And then I'm going to glue that onto the book board. And then I will not use as much of my paper. So off camera, I laid this out and realized that I probably wanted to do this to hold it in place, at least for the spine. But in reality, I don't really need it to be so secure. And what I'm going to do, you'll see. Will you see? I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to trace this out. And what I'm doing here actually is I am bringing this line. So this is where my bird head is. But after I did the first proof of concept one, I realized that I needed to actually extend that to here. So we want the book spine itself to come out from there. Same thing down here. So I'm going to do it at the same level there. And that's what gives me this little section here. So that's, I want to have that. And actually, in truth, I might even, when I go to cut it, I might extend it a little bit more that way. But then what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace my wings. I'll fix that when I take those off. So now we have that all the way there. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I thought I'd show you what this looks like. And I will say, for those of you that like to cut and measure, you're going to like this part. Measure and cut. I'm not a measurer. I don't do that. I wing everything. But it is a good idea for this area here at the base to be the same size on both sides. And that I know that from experience after having done it. So I did go ahead and I measured from this little raised part here. I measured 1/2 inch all the way down. And on this side, you can see I put little dots so that I would see that. And then I just went ahead and drew my line that way so that it's roughly the same width from the spine. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I am going to use, and I didn't tell you this at the beginning, it's a good idea to have a cutting mat. I am going to start using my X-Acto knife, or not my X-Acto knife, my utility knife, to cut into this book, to cut that down. I'll show you a few seconds of this and then I'm going to pan away as I do the rest because it's nothing but grunt work. There's nothing exciting about it at all. So we'll do that. And I will tell you here that you can save all of this headache of cutting by hand if you have a table jigsaw. Now, the place that I'm doing this for offered to allow me to have a handheld jigsaw, but I just did not think that would work for me. So that's why I'm doing it this way. But if you have a table saw, and it needs to be like a scroll saw or a jigsaw or something that you can maneuver easily with, you can just make these marks on there and just cut out the marks on the saw and have your shape. Easy peasy, like lickety split, would come out very fast. So that is a way to do that if you're interested in cutting them out like that. As I get started here, I'll tell you that I've learned over decades of doing altered books. It's not smart to waste all of your energy pushing as hard as you can to cut a book. If you just do your cutting, your utility knife here, and you just press a little bit and you go over it and over it, you're going to get a nice cut. It's going to stay in the groove and you're not going to wear yourself out. So that's just my helpful little hint there. You do have to put a little bit of pressure on there, but not, not tremendous force to do it. Interesting. I thought I would interject here and explain why I'm doing this. It's a lot easier to cut with a utility knife on a straight line or a slightly curved line than it is to try to pull this around a huge corner. So I'm just going to cut this line all the way to the end, break that off eventually, and then I will continue over here. Notice you don't want to get your hand anywhere over here. You want to keep your hand away from the knife. Away from the knife. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut this on the other side, and then I'll be back with you. Okay, so I have both of my covers cut. And what I've done is I have kind of roughly guessed on the middle of the book, and I put my cutting board in the middle there, my cutting mat. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just simply going to do like I did before with the book covers. And as I've told you, it's really a good idea when doing altered books to not put too much pressure into your cuts. But I am going to have to make sure that I cut all parts of the lines there. And I'm using the cover as my template. And part of the reason why I put my mat here in the middle is because how do I say this? It's not symmetrical. So this side of the bird is not precisely symmetrical to the other side of the bird. If that's something that, your sensibilities can't handle, you can certainly, make that a thing. But it's not a thing for me. So all I'm doing to compensate for that is that when I go to do this, I'm going to fold half of the book to the one wing and the other half of the book to the other wing. And then since they're cut based on the half they're getting folded towards, it should make it all work out real nice. And don't worry about that. I just will cut back in. And again, the idea here is to just cut, a few pages at a time. And I do have tweezers somewhere if I need to pull things out. Because this is not a niche, and a niche is just like a little space cut in the center of a book, since I'm cutting all the way to the edges. These rough edges are not really a problem in this situation. So I'm just going to keep doing this like this until I get down to the halfway mark. I may have to change my blade along the way, and that's okay. But I'll meet you when I get to the middle. So you see my pile of pages and stuff here. But this is where I got to the middle. You see my middle page marker there. And I decided, actually, so this is what happened just by the nature of the way I was cutting it to help myself make straighter cuts. And I decided that I kind of liked that as the bottom. So I went over here, I traced this angle here, and I put it over here. I also discovered that this wing is up quite a bit further than this wing. But again, that's why I did it half and half. So I'm going to have the end part there like that here on this wing as well, so that we kind of have like a tail on this one. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the back part of that. I did put this line here. I don't usually do that, but that was just because of that. So we'll go ahead and get it cut down to the middle, and I'll be back to join you when it's done. So this is where I'm at the end, and you'll notice that I have a difference in size there. So what I can do here to make it more even is I can just put it down like this, where you see the edge, and just cut this way until I get it closer, so it looks a little bit more even. It's always a shame when you have to do that because you think you're done. And again, to those of you that like to measure, I suppose if I had a symmetrical pattern, it wouldn't be an issue. All right, so I evened that out, as you can tell. And you can also tell that my wings don't match up. I knew that was going to be a thing. I don't care about that because of the way I did this with going down the middle. That's not an issue because I'm just going to put them down the sides and I won't see that at all. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to angle this here. I'm going to cut along. I don't have a line. Maybe I'll put a line. I don't know, but I'm going to cut and angle that so that I have the shape of a head. And then I'm going to, after that, I'm going to go ahead and put my decorative paper on the inside here of the bird. Now, in reality, I should have cut the cover so that it had that wingspan there, but I don't think that's going to be an issue. I don't think you're going to see that, but you're not going to see the pattern paper there on the wing or on the tail part. Yeah, if that bothers me, I can always cut this off again. But if you like the pattern, like if you like the tail, and I do, so I might change this for my future books, you can just do that on the cover as well so that you have the tail part of the cover. So my book is completely cut as I like it. And then what I'm going to do now, and I've put the decorative papers on the inside of the wings. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to put these wings, I'm going to adhere them with a cup hook. No, more like an eyelet hook. I'll show you. You can find them in the picture hanging things. And I am going to hold my wings. Let's see what I did there. I'm going to hold my wings so that they come in and are up like that. And I'm going to clamp them. I keep finding things that I didn't tell you needed at the beginning, so I apologize about that. Sometimes I don't know until I get moving. So I'm going to clamp. These are just dollar store clamps too, by the way. I'm going to clamp those. Make sure I finagle that so it's clamped where I want it to be. All right, so like that. So then we have a nice little edge around there. Then what I'm going to do is I am going to, and I'm going to have to do this off the camera because I have to finagle it because I want to keep it clamped, but I also have to have it at the edge so that I can hammer a nail into the center area, like right, I'm going to put it right, like maybe there. And I have to hammer it all the way through so that it comes through the other side. And because I'm going to screw the cup hook in through that hole on the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll show you when I get that finished. So I took this to the edge so that I could have this flat on my cutting, or my cutting mat. And I hammered this nail all the way through. You can see it come through here on the other side. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, keeping it clamped, I'm going to remove the nail, and then I'm going to screw the cup hook. And I have a couple, I have a couple of the bigger ones in my little bag here that I don't have to open my new package for. So we're going to screw those in from the outside. They are the bigger ones, so no, they're not going to go through. I need these ones. I need this size actually to go through here. So I don't think, yeah, these are not big enough that came in here. I'm going to have to order some of these in order to do the rest of my books because I think these are the last of the big ones. But I do have the big ones. So what you have to do is determine if it's going to go through all of your pages or not. So these bigger ones will go through all of my pages. Those little ones would not do it. So, but that's what I'm going to do, and I will come back to you after I get this in here, and I'll show you the cup hooks inserted. So I never filmed the rest of that. My apologies. And the birds are all gone. I've taken them to the place that commissioned them. They are going to be part of a installation at the Akron, Ohio Public Library, and I don't know the exact date. They were going to do it this month, and then they decided to change it. So if and when I know the date of that, I'll let you guys know on Instagram. But I think you got the idea of how to go ahead and make your own, and what I did to those books as well after I put the cup hooks in. I took some glue, and I use super heavy matte gel medium, and I put it around the outside of the pages, the ones that were actually flushed together, and that just kind of makes them nice and strong and sturdy and helps that cup hook to hold. And then I did put glue right on the edge of the cup hook as it poked through the bottom of the pages, just to also add some stability to that, because they are going to be hanging, and I wanted them to make sure that they held together. So, but it was a lot of fun. I think you guys will have fun doing that as well. And like I mentioned, if you have a scroll saw, it'll save you a ton of time. Hope you enjoyed that, guys. I'll see you next time. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Bye for now.